all the CRUD operation in Spring Boot. There is get, put, post and delete, and also there is other one that is patch. And previous section I have already covered the basic features like how to connect with the H2 database, how to write in the model, like writing at the rate entity, it will create the database which is handled by Spring Boot. Let me start with the sample design application with a shipwreck. And here is the case study. And here you have to write a CRUD operation for the shipwreck, which will cover get functionality, post functionality, put and delete functionality. First, you have to write the resource URI, and you need to remember that URI should be a plural noun, not verb, and it's not as the verb as the operation name. It should be the name. And configuring database I have already done using the H2 database, and representation class, repository and controller, and latter part I will cover for the unit test case, and for the front end I will use the AngularJS or JSP. Let me cover to the next part. Here the preloaded data, how we can do that? We can write a data.sql, and in the SQL you can write the insert statement so that when the table is getting created, here I have created the entity table for the shipwreck. Now table is getting created and it's getting preloaded. You don't have to insert statement after every time. So that's one of the good feature for the Spring Boot application. Now how the model or entity look like? You have to write at the rate entity. Without at the rate entity, it's just like a pojo, and you have to use JPA. Otherwise, later you can switch to Hibernate or any ORM framework, but JPA is the safe side. And at the rate ID and generated value is the generation type auto. It's as you wish, and you have to mention the default uh, and the argument constructor, and of course you have to give the getter method and setter method, otherwise database will not be loaded, and I have faced this issue earlier. Now I am giving the brief of get, post, put and delete. First, in the REST controller, in request mapping I give API view on shipwrecks, and you see that shipwrecks is a plural noun. Okay, and I have used shipwreck repository. This is a DAO, and this is a just interface which implements a JPA repository and putting the shipwreck as a uh, model object, and the ID is the primary key. And at the rate get mapping, it will just use the in the DAO layer which is provided by the JPA repository find all, you will get the list of the data, and get mapping you will get the particular data using path variable, and using find by ID we can get it, and or else throw it will use for the suppose when you are searching for a particular object with the ID, if object is not found you can throw exception, uh, like in the optional of the Java 8 you can use that Java 8 optional as well as lambda, you can do that. And the post mapping, you need to add object that you need to insert data, so you have to mm, give the JSON in the body, and this at the rate request body convert JSON to model. This object conversion Spring Boot automatically give it, and you can use XML also. For that you have to use that dependency for that, and that object what JSON what we are passing in the body, you can save it and it will save as an object. And in the put mapping what you are going to do, it's a update, and the at the rate path variable you give that ID which one you need to update and what you need to update. You have to give the JSON in the body and at that request body, and using the source, that is source is a path variable I have mentioned. With using find by id you get that source object. Okay, and and using id it's not source, it's a target object which you need to update, and this rex is the source object. And beanutil dot copy properties, so it will uh, source to, it's a source to target, it's all the property from source to target. You don't have to do uh, like setter methods every, it's a boilerplate code. You have reduced it and save it, and it was the function of the put functionality. And here is the different CRUD operation: post, get, put, patch and delete. And the post for the create, get for the read, and the put for the update. And for the partial update you can use the patch. Delete operation, you have to just use the id, it will delete the entity. Let me show the test results with the get operations with the @path variable and the no request body, and you will see the list of the data. And here you can see that list of preloaded data in the application. And here dot find all, it will give that iterable shipwrecks, and you will find list of the data. And here you can see that how that find all internally do it. It's giving by the JPA repository. You don't have to bother about that. And for get particular element search by path variable and using add id, path variable id, find by id, and you will get that particular object, shipwreck object. And for the post you need to have JSON to object conversion, which will be done by the @request body, and you can save it. And here what I have done, I have given the new object, say 5 with Thomas12, and after submit it, its data is getting inserted here. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to update it using the put. Here I will use request body as well as @path variable. Now here and the Thomas12 and the ID is a 5, I change it to Flipkart. How can I do that? So you have to pass as the source and it's a target, so you need to change using beanutil.copy properties. Simple as that. You have to pass that source, and from the source all that properties going to the target, and is existing one you will get using the id, you will get it, that is by find by id. And now finally save it. So this is the way we can do that. And delete operation, and here you see that fifth one has been changed to Flipkart from Thomas12. And delete operation, simple, just provide the id which one you want to delete. You don't have the request body, and it will just give the message delete successfully. Thank you.